Here we have the 2-hour price chart for Palantir Technologies Incorporated, stock ticker PLTR. Here we can see that we are attempting to sort of stabilize here at upper levels. There are some differences here as far as how Palantir is really performing in comparison to the rest of the market. For the most part, we've seen some fairly significant price sell-offs in some major technology names, and even the Mag 7 stocks as well. A lot of this activity has really dragged down the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So this has been a bit of a concern for many people here throughout the market. But in general, this has not really been the case for Palantir. As we can see, overall share price declines have been quite limited. Um, if we go back to recent lows here, we're seeing that for the most part the uptrend has remained intact, and the stock does continue to post a series of higher lows during that process. Ultimately, the real level to the downside did come with last Thursday's trading session, which is really where a lot of this downside trend momentum started to occur throughout the market. And here we can see that share prices dropped to 26.90 before finding some stabilization here. But what's really most interesting to note here is the fact that broader activity here was not very substantial in the downward direction. We really didn't see very many share price declines here, other than this sort of initial red candle where we saw prices fall from just below 28.60 to just below 27.30. Overall, these are relatively minimal declines, and then the stock was able to recover quite quickly. Of course, we cannot say that for many other names that are found in the technology space and also within the Mag 7. Some important examples that we can point to would be NVIDIA and Meta Platforms, both of which I've posted recent videos on those. And I do suggest that people go and take a look at those because there have been some very significant price movements to the downside. And for the most part, those stocks have not been able to recover those losses. We could be in for some further downside there. But overall, this has really not been the case for Palantir. Overall, this is probably, weighing on the stock to some extent. I mean, maybe we would see even further price rallies here in this stock if this external kind of bearish activity was not occurring. But for the most part, this is encouraging. I mean, we have seen, relatively minimal movements to the downside, and we are actually continuing to post new highs here, which is a bit surprising given the broader context. So currently, what we're looking at as far as resistance is concerned, this level would come in at 29.83, which would be the highs that were posted during the July 18 trading session. For the most part, the stock has managed to kind of obey its 20-period exponential moving average. That's this yellow line here, which continues to slope in the upward direction, and for the most part has supported share price action. As you can see here, we've started to see a bit of an ascending parallel price channel that has developed, and the trajectory here is largely in line with these exponential moving averages. So that is interesting, and it does sort of confirm the underlying direction and trade momentum that's being seen in share prices. So overall, if we take a bit of a step back here and look at the broader momentum readings that are visible in the stock, we can see that there is a bit of downside selling pressure that is starting to emerge. This really has been the case since June 20th. We have seen some lower highs in the relative strength index. That would be this purple line down here. But overall, this indicator does remain encouraging because we can see that the longer term trends here continue to support the bullish outlook. So we do, as we can see, we do have an upward sloping trend line here, which is fairly significant. It's got a very strong slope to it, and it's been very consistent over a broad period of time. This upward trend line really started to develop at the same time that this important triple bottom price formation started to develop. This is a price pattern that I've spent a lot of time discussing in prior videos. If you'd like a better explanation of what exactly is going on at this price zone, I suggest that you look at some of the other videos that are going to be seen on the Palantir playlist that will show at the end of the video. I go over this area a bit more in depth. But as we can see here, this upward trend in momentum really did start as this triple bottom was being formed. So it's long term in nature. It's been very stable, and it has continued to send share prices higher, even during situations where the broader market has definitely experienced a lot of selling pressure. So overall, this remains encouraging. Sort of the only negative here is really the fact that the stock is having a bit of trouble overcoming this $30 level. It is a psychological level. It's a big round figure. It's the 30 handle. I mean, we're sort of entering into a new paradigm here if we are able to convincingly break into this area. So overall, it's not totally surprising that we're seeing a bit of trouble here, but we really will need to start to see a break here relatively soon. Otherwise, the most likely outcome will be that a top starts to form, and then we could start to break some significant support levels to the downside. All of that said, in addition to the rising condition in the relative strength index indicator, we can see that all of the moving averages are sloping in the positive direction. This is significant here because it does suggest that we will continue to find support levels in this stock at higher and higher levels. So that does support the bullish outlook. Currently, the price level that I would be watching comes in at 2770. This essentially marks the bottom of this parallel uptrend channel that we're seeing here. As well as the 50-period exponential moving average. That would be the orange line here. And then in addition to that, this area also roughly marks the 23.6% Fibonacci retracement of this dominant upward trending price move. To measure this price move, we were looking at the May 29 lows, which came in roughly 2064. And then we extend this move all the way to the recent highs, which, as I said previously, came in at 2983. So this red zone here marks the 23.6% Fibonacci retracement. I do sort of like the confluence that I'm seeing here with some of these other technical indicators. And this does suggest that this is a possible downside support zone that could be seen if we continue to have trouble with this $30 mark. We are definitely having some trouble here. We've seen several kind of attempts. We can just kind of drill in here one last time, but we've seen several kind of attempts here to sort of force our way through this level. And so far we've been rejected. But overall in this process, we have been posting higher lows. So overall, I still think that this does look encouraging that we will be seeing a break of this level. So here's the current market analysis for Palantir Technologies Incorporated, stock ticker PLTR.